Hello and welcome along to Tropex Live, episode 2, the Tropical Exposure Vodcast, live from Tropical Exposure Studios. It's wonderful to have you on the show. Welcome along. I'm Benjamin Wayne Bishop the First, as you know, people call me Benno, owner of Tropical Exposure and panellist today for the Tropex Vodcast. Welcome along, Carissa the Rissole Morgan. Great to have you back.
Hello, thank you for having me. I think I've been more nervous second time round, but anyway, maybe it's because I know what to expect.
It was always engagements. It's the mad engagements of Mackay people wanting to hear. This is the new platform, as we say. The wonderful Vicki Smith. She's a Pace. She's a Pembroke. She's part of the Mackay fraternity and social media marketing communications platform from Concept Consulting. Welcome along, Vicki. How are you?
Oh, Benjamin the First. What an intro. Thank you. Great to be here.
Very welcome. Great to have you, and a very proud Tropical Exposure supporter and alliance partner. It's great to have you along. So welcome to the show. Danica Erard, owner of De Millinery, hats and accessories, and a very successful, soon-to-be international Instagram influencer, I believe, and an expert on all things Instagram. Welcome to the show.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honoured. Thank you.
It's great to have you along. As we've seen some big changes this week, so well, influencer for a start. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I was known as an influencer throughout high school, unfortunately, mainly as a bad one. I'd throw that one in. But the good thing was I was easy to get back on track because everybody said I was very easily led. A couple of quick jokes. Facebook is back. The news platforms are coming back. I think it was fantastic that what Carissa said last week has rung true, where they have struck some kind of a deal, obviously, where there's going to be payment and things happening. Carissa, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, what came out of the result was Facebook essentially got what they wanted. So they got a good deal in the end. All they had to do was pull the content for a week and happy days, the government played ball. So the last hour or the final hour, I believe the government called it, they came to an agreement and news is back.
And Vicki, you obviously do a lot of high-level comms in Mackay for one of our most favourite political figures. We won't name him today. How did that affect you and your game when they basically said they were going to pull news content? Did it affect you at all? What happened?
Yeah, it sure does. Look, when a lot of your content is news-based, there was nothing to share. So it was a case of having to find other places for those messages to live, and it was a big eye-opener. You know, it would have been huge for the news organisations to have to go back to potentially some older style platforms in order to continue to deliver news. So it was certainly a big week. And
the beauty is you guys do create a lot of your own individual content, be they quick Facebook posts or direct or PR press releases, so you could still deliver some stuff given the fact that you make it yourself.
Yeah, look, the power of owned media certainly rammed home last week or in the last week. So, as businesses, leaders, anyone on social media, we borrow that platform. The platform's borrowed. And when, they pull a power punch like they did last week, it certainly reminds you that there's potentially other platforms that we own, we're not borrowing. And the importance of that owned media, for me, certainly rammed home.
Simple as that. And there still is a lot of, there was a lot of posts and a lot of pages that got pulled down with out warning at quite legitimate organisations. Did you see much about that, Danica? People that had, they might either, I think, RSEQ,
Absolutely.
RSPCA.
Yeah, a lot. And sadly, it was the ones that we need to see. The ones that, with the way the world is going right now, the important news. I mean, most news is important, obviously, but the ones that people are trying to raise more awareness, raise money, whatever it may be for topic at hand, whatever's going on in that week it's urgently important. Obviously COVID, it's sad that happened, but like you said, Carissa, they got exactly what they wanted. So yeah.
And we'll come back to that because what we want to talk about today is literally Facebook versus Instagram. You're very successful on Instagram. You've got a huge amount of followers. I'm going back, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. When I was at Channel 7 in the 2000s, I think it was Chris Talbot, a good old friend of mine, and myself were the first on station to be on Facebook. Was 2007, and people were talking about what is this thing, what's this platform, how does it work, and I've, as anyone watching this that knows me, I'm a bit of a Facebook tragic. I post everything. If I think it's interesting or cool or a motorbike or whatever, I'll post it. And I think that's basically how a lot of the platforms are becoming. I mean, everyone's on Facebook in the old demographic. It really is the chosen social media platform of people over 35. I don't have stats to support that, but I know my dad's on Facebook. I know my mum's on Facebook. I know my great aunties are on Facebook. I know
Yes.
the wonderful Ruth Mao, a friend of mine from McEwen's Beach. Shout out to Ruth Mao. They're on Facebook and they're very prolific. They understand how things work and they're using it for all the right reasons. So tell us, why Instagram?
The visual journey. It's that little website without having a website if you don't have one. It's the younger demographic that are chasing my product, that are modern, that are up and coming, usually wanting to also wear something amazing themselves to get the next hit of followers, the next 300 likes. It's the modern day Facebook, I guess, without the politics.
Simple as that. And the birth, we'll talk about the journey. Your own journey started on your millinery business where you're making accessories, started out making fascinators and, organically growing where people are realising this is a great product, it looks great, I want one. Can you make me one? Next thing you know, you're on Instagram, they're getting promoted, you're, selling them. Tell us how Instagram helped build your business like that.
Well, it's so many eyes seeing you through, I guess, the world of vision and hashtags. It's big companies that are seeing you, that are finding you. So, yes, I started out in the middle of nowhere with not even a computer. Eventually, 2009, perhaps got onto Facebook, realised I had this passion and this business idea, launched it on Facebook. Someone said to me, you need to get across to Instagram because of the quality of the photos and what you can actually build with that. And then, people come knocking. People just have to do a little scroll on, hashtag fashion, hashtag millinery or hashtag designer, and they see you and then they approach. So it's like a building block for your business. It really is.
And that digital connection, I suppose, where people are getting the cross-platform searches and you've got keywords and things coming up. Vic, how does that actually work? If you're helping somebody develop a site and they're doing they want to do some Facebook, or they just say, well, we need social media. What can you choose and to get things off the ground in that situation?
Yeah, look, the number one question that has come up, I've done a lot of training with small businesses in Mackay and Isaac, and people struggle to take the first step with social media because there's a lot to choose from. There's platforms everywhere, and typically you don't need to be on every platform. You can start somewhere. My preference for people starting out is typically Facebook. It just tends to be, has a bit for everybody. Certainly a more creative space, visuals, Carissa's photography, it all presents beautifully on Instagram. Facebook's the all-rounder. You don't need to be on every platform. Picking the right platform, probably even just to start, and then working out from there where your audience best engages with you and making sure that your eggs are in, I guess, that basket.
Simple as that. And I think me having such a strong interest in video and also sharing a lot of our own TropX content, I've always chosen that Facebook platform because it's been traditionally 16:9. It's easy to share videos. You've got that risk. Do you think that I know the 1-to-1 ratio of Instagram is evolving now, and you still can see 16:9 if you need to. What's happening in that space?
Well, I guess the biggest thing with ratio in Instagram content at the moment is stories, and we've even seen that come across to Facebook now. So companies and individuals alike are able to display semi-professional content, or even, in my case, iPhone content, whereas normally your grid on Instagram would be purely professional content, SLR photography, product shots for Danica, whereas your story is happening right now. It's an iPhone video, it's a little graphic you just made, you typed something in, and it makes it really immediate. And that ratio is actually the opposite of what we have done in traditional broadcast media, and it is 16:9 vertical. And anyone that comes from our industry, that's very annoying. No one wants the iPhone footage in the portrait ratio. So I think the generation that we're sort of seeing it come across, and what we're developing here at Tropical Exposure, is more content in what we call a 4:5 ratio, which essentially is not 1-to-1. It's not a square, but it fills a news feed. So it's slightly more portrait. It's slightly closer to our traditional 16:9. And when you're scrolling through your news feed, seeing the content come up, that 4:5 ratio perfectly fills the news feed. And for us, content is key. So you want to fill that.
That's right. And I think it's also, any of us sort of born that watch TV from 1990 onwards are conditioned to the 4:3 format. Before we went to widescreen, most people had a 4:3 TV. Everything, in the old days of broadcast, when we were shooting, we shot essential message area or safe title area. So, in the crossover period, 4:3 is quite easy to watch. You still see a lot of the picture. 4:5 gives you just that great little crossover in between, your standard 4:3 aspect ratio and widescreen. So it's interesting that it's gone that way. And one thing that I've taken a lot of notice of lately is some of the smokescreen advertising done by great companies like Netflix, for example, who are, they might be advertising The Office and they'll say now streaming, on Netflix. They can actually show on Facebook 16:9 native content straight up the DVD. People will watch a clip of Seinfeld or watch a clip of The Office, or lately it's been A Country Practice that's come up on my 80s pages, all these great things. I still remember the day the day Molly died. I go back, the memories. I didn't really like Country Practice. I was more of a Sons and Daughters fan, actually. I always saw myself as Wayne. But anyway, well, moving on. I think it's really, really interesting, Danica, that you've had such great success, moving your products, and I really, I just think that's fantastic. Tell us, how do you grow your page? I mean, how do you create different content rather than just showing shots of accessories and shots of dresses and shots like that? Do you do things to liven things up, or how do you actually influence things?
I guess the first thing I would say here is being real. The number one thing, it's not about smoke and mirrors for me. It's about being who I am, sometimes being a little bit outspoken, being a little bit crazy, just literally being real, and the passion will follow through. And I think a lot of it with now the stories, as you were all just saying, is that you can show that straight away. And as soon as you start to get your first bite on that, then it just builds from there. The main way I've built mine is through corresponding and being present with other people that are in the fields of what I'm doing. So instead of just putting up your post and walking away, I'm putting up a picture. I'm thinking about it. I'm seeing who's going to respond. I'm seeing who's there first. I'm seeing what hashtags people have followed me from, and then I'm finding those people as well. And they might not necessarily be a customer per se. They might just be someone that's going to come to my Instagram time and again because they like what I've produced, they like what I've designed, and I appeal to their market, to their favourite hashtags, so to speak. But that has been the number one builder, is just being real with it.
And hard work. I love that. And this is what I love
you.
about advertising. I've made thousands, literally, honestly, thousands of television commercials in my life for all types of industry, retail, car yards, insurance mobs, finance mobs, you name it, tours, holidays, Harvey World Travel, great friends, and the great business people that succeed from advertising follow-up inquiry. And that's what it's all about. Your advertising is always going to be, your first, it's an inquiry generator, nothing more. The ads won't sell themselves. You've got to follow things up, and you're doing that.
That's right. And I'm sure Vicki would agree with the consistency of it. And also, there's so many little sayings or cliches, sort of words that you can put in there, but just the consistency of the realness, and then following up with those people who have actually shown some interest in your product as well.
And using Instagram as a sales tool. It's a tool.
Absolutely, it is. Yes, It is, indeed.
And back, with same thing, Vic, like you say, when you're working with a small business, especially the great work that you're doing out in Isaac and the Bowen Basin with people that want a hand and need a hand because they're sort of fighting the coastal, or they're fighting the World Wide Web with, price farming and races to the bottom on price. Facebook, Instagram are tools.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing we've seen with Instagram since Facebook took it over was the introduction of far more tools, far more different ways to get your product direct to customers, shopping within the platform, taking links directly out to those other media that we talked about. So really the introduction of Facebook tools into Instagram has been one way, but then equally the Instagram tools like stories and the different ratios has come across to Facebook. And so they still have their own identity, but they've certainly blended across some of those pieces.
And Chris, you do a lot of our back-end analytics and reviewing things on the TropX page and seeing how things go. how can you do that on Instagram? Does Instagram have the same kind of monitoring or the same level of review?
Yeah, so since Facebook bought out Instagram, and I am no expert on this at all, they have gone
You're
through
just a lot better at it than me. Let's do it here. That's why you do it here.
You got a real laugh.
That's good. I must be getting better. My jokes are getting better.
I think at the moment, Vicki will correct me, it's Business Suite that is running both Instagram and Facebook
Correct.
content.
Yes.
But then there's some kind of stuff merging over to something called Creator Studio.
Yeah, Creator
Yes.
Studio came first. Business
Yeah,
Suite is
right.
their new addition to being able to manage multiple platforms, which
Yeah.
was an issue if you had an Instagram profile and a Facebook profile page, I should say. It was quite difficult to manage both of them with the content in sync, but they're certainly making inroads to making that a little bit easier.
Yeah, and you can see those analytics through that platform.
That's
For
right.
both, yeah.
And as I say, I don't know anything about it because as I say, I love advertising and we know it's successful when our clients are saying, well, that worked, simple as that, because they just keep coming back. And in the glory days of TV, we'd make ads for, say, JG Marine, and they might have had X amount of castaways for sale, or that was Reefy's had castaways, but they you might have Tabs Bull Sharks at JG Marine, and they've got 4 shells, and you've made an ad for a month. By the 3rd or 4th week of the month, they've gone back to the corporate commercial because they've sold them all. That's how successful TV could be. And what I love is that people now are finally getting the actual returns from social media platform marketing, like yourself.
Absolutely. And one thing I was going to say to Vicki before, and you may have also seen this, Carissa, is as a Shopify website owner, I am now being prompted on a daily basis to make sure I connect the Facebook. So it's something that I thought I'd done and I hadn't. So they're also connected in a way now that you basically, it's just one press and you can cover everything. So it really is a matter of being across it, knowing what works for you, and I guess the minute you do that, it's all eyes on your product. And hey, if you're in a remote place, which Mackay is classified really as, especially for a product that like I sell, high-end headwear and accessories, it's there for everybody. Like anyone can get their hands on it, and that's with any business. That's what you want. You want them to see it and want to have it, I guess.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Danica, for being on the show. Check out DE Millinery's Instagram page if you're going to the track. Now COVID's over, we can all go back to the track.
Yay.
Can guarantee you'll head to the track with a great fascinator. You might not come home with it. Or come home with someone else's and only one shoe. I've come home with very, very varying things from the track over the years. Now, we're going to talk about the cutters. How good were the cutters? Smashed the Capras on the weekend, 44-16.
Not about it.
Chris is like, I wasn't at the cutters on the weekend.
No, I did know they had a disappointing season last year, so I'm glad to hear they got a win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing season all around for life, I think, to 2020. It's good to sort of be back. We'll if we get Brendan over here to cross over to our engineer, David May. He did an amazing job of the. You can do it a bit quicker than that if you want. We haven't got this. It was about a 1 hour pan in my eyes. Thanks, David. You did a great job. The live stream's looking fantastic. With big thanks to Scotty McSherry and Paddy Daly, who co-hosted the games together. Did an amazing job. Cutters really moving forward leaps and bounds in the digital space. We've got a vodcast with Mitch Cook, operations manager, coming the next couple of weeks. Jardine Babongi, the legend, Renee Kunst, a few other celebrities and fantastic sports people from Mackay are going to be coming in and out of the show throughout the year. So look out for that. Really, really proud of where everyone's going at the Cutters at the moment. Great club. Please support them. Come down to the home games. The more the merrier. It's a fantastic facility. We're very lucky to have our stadium. And you can watch the live stream if you are away and you don't have a valid excuse not to be at the stadium. You can watch it on the live stream. So have a quick talk about my KISS Dynasty Cup. Danica was saying before she's a huge KISS fan.
Yeah. I know a few songs, probably nowhere near as many as you, but...
In 2000, Man and I Was Made for Loving You. Charisma, off that album, Charisma. What is my Didn't put that up.
Digress.
That's actually a Gene song. You know, the cool thing about Kiss, especially by the Dynasty stage, is that so many people were singing different songs. You had Paul singing songs, you had Gene singing songs, you had Ace singing songs. Anyway, we'll leave Kiss. Stick around next week. We've got a very, very special guest on the show, which we'll announce in the next coming days. Tropex Live Episode 3 coming your way. Vicki, it was an absolute pleasure. You're going to see Vicki a fair few times throughout the year, and it's going to be great to delve into all things comms with you. Thanks for coming along.
Absolute pleasure.
Good. Danica, thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
You're welcome. I hope to see you again this year on the show. Carissa Morgan, she's got a fair few balls in the air at the moment, to say the least.
You could say that.
You could say that again.
But I'm here.
Yeah, we've got economic development projects. We've got tourism projects. We've got some really, really cool high-end comms projects on the go. So thanks for all your hard work. It's wonderful to have you back, both in the office. Two beautiful kids. We're trying to chain her down after all this maternity leave time. Thank you again for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Great. I'll be signing off. We'll see you again next week. Please share this with your friends. If you've got anyone you want to see on the show, if you've got subjects you want spoken about, or you've got an event coming up or something that may be happening in the advertising and digital space, get onto us, info@tropicalexposure.com.au, and we'll get you on the show. Thanks for having us. And a bit of laughter as well. I'll go through them all.